All right, class, welcome. I know all this social distancing has been quite interesting, and this will come to pass one day, hopefully sooner than later. We just need to hang in there. All right, so what I've got today is I've got the review questions that you had to do for homework. And some of you did great and you're in good shape. You might want to just skip to the problem that you had an issue with. Those of you that had numbers of issues, then you'd want to watch the whole video. All right, but feel free to go to the ones, the problems where you had trouble. I'm going to do them all. All right, so let's go. Here we go. First one. Uh, so let's see. Problem number one was just the aspect of factoring out common factors. Remember, factor out common factors first, right? So if you look, there's a common R. And so you're going to take an R out of the first term, leaving a 3R, and you're going to take an R out of the 5R, leaving the 5. And so number one. When you look at number two, you have a number common factor. That's a 2. That's common to everything. So I'm going to show you what's left so far. You leave a 4 there in the front term. You leave a 3 in the middle term. And right now, you got a 1 in the back term. Now notice there's also a common X, right? Common X, so I can get an X out. And that's going to leave one X in the front, no X's in the middle, no X's in the back. And then how about our Y's? All right, there are no common Y's because this one doesn't have any Y's. So the Y's have to stay. So Y cubed, Y squared. And that's it. I just need this final parentheses, and I factored out the common factors. Okay, number three. So again, you're looking for what's common. I see a common 4, right? And when I take that out, that leaves nothing, no numbers in the front. You can put a 1 there if you want. And it leaves a negative 2 in the back. And then also, when I look at my x's, I can get an x squared out. That leaves an x in the front and nothing else in the back. Now, you can always check, right? If you multiply this back out, you should get back to the original. If you can't do that, you made a mistake. All right, the last one here, number 4. If you look, we definitely have no common numbers, so they're going to stay, but we do have a common x. And out of the front term, you can get one x out. Oops, I'm sorry, we have a common x squared, right? Look, this has at least 2 has 2. So we can get x squared out. So that leaves an x squared there. Plus, we still have my 3 because I didn't get any numbers out, leaves an x there. And we still have the plus 7 in the back. Okay, and then let's look at y's. Nope, no y's there. And that's it, right? That is the complete factoring of the second one, although I got to remember to include my y in that middle term. And again, if you multiply this back out, you should get back to the original. Okay, so there's numbers 1 through 4. This is the way you start all factoring. And what I keep telling you and need to keep reminding you is always look to factor out common factors first. And because there are not always common factors, that's why students forget to do so. So this is just the first step in factoring, the first thing to look for. Okay, let's go on. All right, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now you look at these and they're trinomials. There are 3 terms, which means we're going to use trial and error, which also means you have to make sure that your outers and inners add up to the middle term. So here's the middle term on number 5. So when I make my 2 parentheses, okay, the front is going to be factors of y squared. It has to be y and y. The back has to add up to negative or to positive 56, but I have a clue here. I have a negative in the middle. So 7 times 8 is 56. So a negative 7 and a negative 8. Now again, I have to make sure my outers plus my inners equals my middle term, and they do. So there's the factoring of that one. Second one, there are no common factors, but I looked, but there are none. All right, again, I have to factor the front. Now on the back on this one, I got a negative 54, and I know I'm after a positive 3 in the middle. So I'm starting thinking, what times what equals negative 54? 2 and 27, but those are so far apart. And you know, you just have to keep working on numbers. What, 6 times 9, right? 9 times 6 is 54. All right. So how about 6 and 9? Now notice it's a positive 3. If I have that as a positive and that as a negative, look what happens. My outers are negative 6x and my inners are positive 9x for that positive 3x in the middle. Now, when I looked at your homework, I saw some of you weren't doing these checks. This is the key to everything, because there's a lot of numbers that multiply to negative 54, but only this combination works. And remember, you can switch the parentheses. You can have the x minus 6 in the front and the x plus 9 in the back. All right, third one. I'm looking again for common factors. There are none. Now, when I do my front term, I notice it's a 2d squared, so I know it's 2d and d. All right, with that 2d squared now, all right, in this situation, I got to be careful because my outers are going to be multiplied by 2. All right, I got a 7. That's good. 7 and 1 are my only choices. Now watch. This is going to be wrong. If I put the 7 there, I get 14. That's too many. And I know if the 1 goes there, there's 2, right? 2 times 1 is 2, and the 7 goes there. Doesn't that get me 9? And again, here's my check. Outers, 2D, inners, 7D. Sure enough, that 9D in the middle. All right, last one of this set. I'm looking to factor out common factors. There are none. Now, in this kind, you have to be careful. I have a 9t squared. That could be 9t and t, but there's a second possibility. It could be a 3t and a 3t. All right, well, let's work the first ones. A negative 8. I have 1 and 8, 2 and 4. If I put a 4 there, that's a 36. That's never going to get me to 21. That's not going to be it. All right, how about if I put a 2 there? That's 18. And then the 4 would go there, but that's still not going to get me to 21. It'll get me to 22, but not 21. Maybe it's 8 and 1. Okay, we could try that. How about the 1 there? That's going to be 9. And then the 8, 17. That doesn't get me to 21. You know what? None of those work. Let's try the 3s. All right, 2 and 4. If I put a 4 here, that's 12. And a 2 there, that's 6. 12 and 6, not going to get me to 21. You know, and here's the other thing. That's a positive 21. How about this? How about an 8 and the 1? And I know the bigger one has to be positive. Let's try this. Watch the check here. 3 times 8 is 24t. A negative 1 times 3 is a negative 3t. And sure enough, there's our positive 21t in the middle. Do you get the idea now of trial and error? I hope you do. It's so important. That's what we're dealing with here, the aspect of trial and error. Okay, let's go on. All right, rearrange. So it's important that you understand the rearrange and then factor. Okay, so 9, put the x squared first, the positive 5x, the negative 14. Are there common factors? No, but I checked. 2 parentheses. Front, x and x, back, dealing with a negative 14. 7 and 2, doesn't that allow me to get a 5? I want my 7 to be positive and my 2 to be negative. Now again, the negative 2 times 7 is a negative 14. Watch my check. Positive 7x, negative 2x. Sure enough, that 5x in the middle, and there's my answer. Next one. All right, it's got to go the negative 5a next, then the 84. I'm looking for common factors. There are none. A and A. Oh man, 84. That's such a big number, but I need a difference of 5. 84 with a difference of 5. All right, come on, brain, work. How do you get to 5 with 84? 12 times 7? Okay, can't believe I pulled that out of wherever. 12 times 7 And I need the 12 to be the bigger number and the 7 to be the smaller. Watch why. When I check my outers, I get negative 12a. When I do my inners, I get positive 7a for a middle of negative 5a. And sure enough, that's correct. All right, number 11, 15b squared minus b minus 6. Common factors? No, but I checked. All right, 15b squared. All right, this could be 15b and b, or this could be 5b and 3b. I usually do I don't use the 15 and 1 first. It's usually not it, but it could be. All right, negative 6. How about 3 and 2? 3 and 2, 15 and 6. See, I'm thinking there, that's 15 outers and 6 inners, right? But 15 and 6 isn't going to get me to 1, so that's not it. All right, how about 10 and 9? 10 and 9. And I need the 9, no, I need the 10 to be negative, and the 9, right? Now watch, again, be careful. My positive 3 times my negative 2 is my negative 6. So that's always got to be a negative 6. All right, here's the check. Outers, negative 10b. Inners, positive 9b. Total, negative b. And sure enough, that's my middle. There's 11. All right, number 12. 2y squared plus 15y plus 7, 2 parentheses. All right, we got to do 2y and y. No other choice there, thankfully. 7. All right, hey, that's easy. 7 and 1, that's the only possibility. And I got to get to 15. So by putting the 7 there, see how I get 14y? See, I'm always thinking this in my head before I even put numbers down. That leaves the 1 for there, and that one is a y, and sure enough, 15y, and there's my middle, and there's my answer. All right, 9 through 12, let's keep rolling. All right, use special patterns to factor. All right, so 13 is a difference of 2 squares. And I think we've gotten to this already. If we have not, forgive me. We'll get to this in the next lessons. Plus in the middle of one, minus in the middle of the other. Square root of the front goes in the front, and the square root of the back goes in the back. All right. This second one is also a difference of 2 squares. Plus in the middle of one, minus in the middle of the other. Square root of the front in the front. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of x squared is x. Square root of the back in the back. Square root of 144 is 12. Square root of y is y. And I forgot my front one here. So square root of the front in the front. Square root of the back in the back. And there's the answer. Okay, this one you're going to do trial and error. There's a pattern you'll learn later. But again, you're looking at this and A, and 49, 7, and 7. What's my check? 7A, 7A, sure enough, 14A. That is correct. And I would write my final answer like this. All right, the last one. Are there common factors? 3, 3, no 3. No, it's close. Okay, so again, on this I have two possibilities, 9x and x, or 3x and 3x. All right, and then I'm going to try 5 and 5. My middle's negative, so it's got to be a negative times a negative to get that positive 25 and give me a negative in the middle. There's a negative 15x and another negative 15x for negative 30x. Sure enough, that's correct. But final form, 3x minus 5 quantity squared. All right, sorry about that. I gave these a little early, and we're going to deal with these next coming lessons, I believe. Okay, factor. Did you guys even read that? Begin by factoring out the common monomial. Remember, factor out common factors first. So watch, this is what I should have seen on your paper. And if I didn't, I'm not sure where you're getting the answer to these. Maybe off the internet, maybe off the odds in the back of the book. Because your first step should have been to factor out this common y. And therefore, you should have shown this step, leaving the x squared plus x minus 56. If you didn't show me this step, I don't have a lot of confidence that you produced your answer. I'm just telling you. All right? Honestly, because you're not going to do this stuff in your head usually. Okay, next, 2 parentheses. Now remember, I'm factoring this right now. So, front term, x and x. Back, 56. 7 and 8 is 56, and that gives me a difference of 1. I need my 8 to be positive. I always look at my outers first. That's a positive 8x. And my inners would be a negative 7. All right? So negative 7x. And sure enough, that gives me a positive x, and that's correct middle. There's the factoring. Y times the quantity, x minus 7 times quantity, x plus 8. All right, second one. Do you see here? I'm going to use red. Do you see the common 7? So factor out that common 7. What's left? Y squared minus 3y plus 2. Now again, if you didn't show this step on your paper, then you're not really understanding, and I'm not sure where you're getting your answer from. Okay, next step. Don't forget the 7. It continues. Now I'm going to factor the trinomial. The front is going to be a y and a y. The back has to multiply to a positive 2, but notice the middle is negative. That's always negative times a negative. All right, checking. My outers are negative 2y. My inners are negative y for a negative 3y. Sure enough, that's correct. There's my answer. 7 times the quantity, y minus 1 times quantity, y minus 2. All right, 18. Again, begin by factoring out the common monomial. So what's common here? Oh boy, 4, right? No, that only has a 2. 2. I can only get a 2 out. All right, so 2 leaves me a 9x squared minus 50x plus 25. All right, that was it. Only got a 2 out. All right, don't forget to keep your 2 rolling. Now for the trinomial, 2 parentheses. But notice I'm going to have 9x and x, or I'm going to have 3x and 3x, right? Both possibilities. So I'm prepared for both. All right, 5 and 5 or 1 and 25. Got to be 5 and 5. Oh, look at this one. 5 and 5. Whenever this is positive and the middle is negative, it's got to be a negative times a negative. Let's check it out. Negative 45x and a negative 5x is surely a negative 50x. Bingo, there's my answer right there. All right, 2 times quantity, 9x minus 5 times the quantity, x minus 5. All right, number 20. Common factor, 68. 2 times what? 34, which is 2 times 17. All right, get a 4 out. 4 out. 3x squared minus 17x plus 20. Now again, if you didn't show me this step, not so sure where you're getting your answer from. All right, keep the 4 going. Trinomial. Front's got to be 3x and x, right? Got to multiply 3x squared. Back, here again, is our positive in the back with a negative. It's got to be a negative times a negative. Right now I'm thinking 4 and 5 to get to 17. Oh yeah, watch. 4 there, right? Remember, it's got to be negative and negative. And 5 there. Sure enough, watch. That's a negative 12x and a negative. The more you do these, the better you'll get and the quicker you get like I am. But it takes practice. You got to practice to get quick. So that's the key, practice. All right, one more. One more, 2 more, 2 more, 3 more. 2 more. Let me check here real quick. Hold on there. 21 and 23. Okay, let's do 21 again. We got to factor completely. What's the first law of factoring? Look to factor out common factors first. So again, if you don't have this step on your paper, I'm thinking you got the answer from the back of the book. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Right? Because that's now what I'm factoring, that trinomial. So I keep my 2, and now 2 binomials. Got to be x and x. 54, right? Oh, there again is the positive with the negative. I know it's got to be a negative times a negative. 6 times 9, yeah. 6 and 9, sure enough. Watch, here's my outers, negative 9x. Here's my inners, negative 6x. And there's my negative 15x in the middle. There's the solution. And we're ready to roll. Did not give you 22. Last one, 23. All right, so you set this thing up. There are no common factors, but I checked. It's got to be z and z. Okay, again, it's got to be negative and negative, 48. Now, there's a lot of possibilities. Negative 1 times negative 48. Negative 2 times a negative 24. Negative 3 times 16, right? Negative 16, 16, 32, 48, all right? Negative 4 times negative 12. Ay, ay, ay. 6 times 8 is 48, and that's all of them. All right. Now again, in all of these, will any of them give us a 13 in the middle? This one will give us a negative 49 in the middle. This will give us a negative 26 in the middle. This will give us a negative 19 in the middle. This will give us a negative 16 in the middle. That's close. This will give us a negative 14 in the middle. That's close, but none of them work. It's prime. And that's the answer. There is no factoring. Okay. Hey, I hope the review helps. Guys, I know it's tough being at home. You know, at least in math, we've got the videos. They're available. Listen, I'll start printing out notes and having them at the front desk for the next chapter so that if you can't print out at home, you can come by the school and pick up your notes. I'll also put the notes as a PDF on the portal, and I'll also send them in an email. So if you can print them, fine. I'm talking about going forward to the next chapter. Now, continuing this chapter, make sure you do the homeworks each week. Get them in on time so that I can send this video to you. If you don't get them in time, you're just not going to have a grade there, and that's not good. All right, but do your best to get them in on time. When it comes time for a quiz, so I'll send the quiz in the morning, that morning. Take your quiz that day and send it to me by 3 p.m. that day. All right, and again, just email me with a picture. That will work. And then for a test, I'll again do the same thing. I'll email the test, and that test can be gotten back to me hopefully that day. If for some reason you can't do it that day, I hope by the next day you get that test completed with a parent proctoring it and you send it back to me. All right, so this is how we'll do it going forward. Boy, hang in there. I know it's challenging. If you run into printer issues and such, let me know. Oh, let's suppose you can't print out a quiz or the test. You can simply use the quiz or test as the template and write your answers on a sheet of paper, of course showing work, writing original problems where you can. If there's parts that need to be graphed, you can use graph paper. That's about the best we can do going forward. We'll do some streamlined type testing and quizzing because of the challenges that we have now. But hopefully we'll get through this and get you a decent education in the midst and get you the key things that you'll need to complete your algebra education. Hey, email me if you have any questions. We're here for you. We want to be a help. We're working, believe me, us teachers are working hard. We are not at home taking it easy. We're home working, we're at school working, we're in and out working, but we want to help you as much as we can, and we want to give you a complete education that you deserve. All right, thank you. Again, email if you have any questions.